Welcome to the single crochet coaster tutorial with Eleanor Grace Handmade. For this project, you'll need yarn, a crochet hook, a couple of stitch markers, some scissors, and a yarn needle. The yarn I used is Re-Up by Lion Brand. It's a cotton yarn, size 4, and it recommends a 5.5 millimeter hook, but I decided to go with one a little smaller and ended up using a 4 millimeter hook. The one that I'm using in the video today is from Hobby Lobby, and again, it's a 4 millimeter hook. I actually really love these hooks. The wooden handle makes them a little bit longer and works out really good for me. We're here to learn single crochet, but we're going to start out with a slip stitch for this project. I do have a previous tutorial that explains slip stitch and chaining in more detail, and I'll link it in the comments. So the next thing we're going to do is chain 21 times. With the yarn and hook that I used, this will make a coaster about 4 inches by 4 inches. If you want your coaster to be bigger, you can certainly chain more. If you want it to be smaller, chain less. Once we have all of our chaining done, we're going to start on our single crochets. So we'll start in the second chain from the hook and single crochet in each across. So as we look at our chain and inserting our hook into the second chain, we're going to yarn over and pull that yarn tail through the loop. Now we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull the yarn through both loops, and that's your first single crochet. So as we carry on, we're going to insert our hook into the next chain, yarn over by putting it in front of the hook, pull it through that chain, yarn over again, and pull through both loops. We continue on like this until we get to the end of our row. Sometimes if your chain stitches are very tight, the yarn will give you a little bit of trouble like I'm having here, getting your hook inserted. It happens to everybody. I've been crocheting for years. It still happens to me, so don't be afraid to turn your hook around and kind of scoop your way in to the chain stitches if you have to. So here's what your piece will look like after you single crochet in each chain. And the next thing we need to do is work on the second row of our coaster. So we're going to do that by chaining 1 and turning the piece. So we're going to yarn over, make a chain, and then turn our piece around so we can start working on the next row. And we're going to single crochet again in each across. Now when you're making a single crochet, you want to make sure you insert your hook through both pieces of that little V you can see at the top from the previous row. And then we yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through both loops on the hook, and that's your first single crochet in the second row. Insert your hook again through both parts of that little V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through both loops on the hook. So we're continuing our single crochet until we get all the way to the end of the row. You should have another 20 single crochet once you get to the end of this row. One thing that gave me trouble when I first started learning to crochet was dropping stitches, and that can happen a lot at the end of your row, whether you're new to crochet or an experienced crocheter. So a tip that you should take advantage of is to use stitch markers to mark your stitches at the end and beginning of rows to make sure you're not dropping any or missing any as you're getting to the end of your rows. So here it can be a little bit tricky sometimes to get into that last stitch, but using stitch markers will help with that as well. So we'll yarn over again. Okay, so now we've got all 20 single crochet for the second row. We're going to use a stitch marker now. This is one type of the stitch marker. It locks. I do like these. So now for our next row, we're going to chain 1, turn your work around, and single crochet again in each stitch. So make your first single crochet for this row, and then you're going to use your stitch marker to mark that first single crochet so you don't lose it on your way back across the row. Once you've got that secured, you're going to move on and continue with your single crochet until you have another 20. And keeping count of the stitches in your row, or maybe doing a quick count before you move on to the next row, is going to be beneficial. To move on to the next row, we chain 1, turn our work, and single crochet again in each stitch across. So we'll make our first single crochet in this row. Then I'm going to grab another stitch marker. Here's a different kind. It's metal, kind of like a safety pin. I do also like these. Just wanted to show you guys a couple different stitch markers that you can use. Believe it or not, I was very scared of using stitch markers. When I first started crocheting, I was like, I barely know what I'm doing. I can't add a new tool into this, but really it's absolutely worth it. So I would say give it a go. Once we've got our stitch marked, we're going to go ahead and continue on doing single crochet across the row. So we insert our hook, yarn over, so we're coming to the end of that row. I'm going to make my last few single crochet, and you'll see that as I get to the end of the row, that stitch marker is there showing me what the first stitch of the last row was, which means it's my last stitch of the current row. Once I take that stitch marker out, it's that much easier for me to insert my hook, yarn over again, and pull through both loops. We're going to carry on. We're going to do another row. So we do our chain 1, turn our piece, and another single crochet in each across. Add our stitch marker to the first single crochet in this row so we don't lose it on the way back. And we carry on.